segment of the show for today. We're talking to Ms. Karen Shakir, and the topic is the psychological impact of the institution of slavery on African Americans, and she's given us some information relative to the very, very beginning of the institution of slavery. And so, Ms. Shakir, let's pick up where we left off and have 8 minutes to talk about this particular topic.
Absolutely. We were speaking on the African American female and the process that has taken place with her since slavery. And you have to know and understand the process was not for her. She was actually took out of her natural state of dependency and created to be independent. And in this particular process, we see it now more so than ever, is that a lot of times African American women feel that they don't need a husband. They don't need a man. They're very independent. And in this process is breaking down the dynamics of a family unit. African American women, because of slavery, are very dissatisfied with themselves. For many years on the plantation, they felt disgusting and ugly because of the process that took place on them. So now we have African American women bleaching their skins and wearing astronomical amounts of weave and blonde, aspiring to look like something other than themselves because they were made so much to hate themselves. I took a trip in '92 to Africa, West Africa, and as soon as I got off the plane, the first thing that I noticed was they had weave and they were trying to bleach their skins. And this is how far this has gone. This is how
back
far
home to Africa itself.
Back home to Africa. And I thought, what in the world? And during the slave time, we were made to take little things and make them big, to turn against one another, such as color, tallness, shortness, who lives in this house, who lives in that house. And today we still do that. We will be in a room of people and we'll just find something negative to say about someone else, and we have to understand this is an institution that was implanted in us during the slavery process. And until we really understand the dynamics of it, we cannot heal ourselves and we cannot move further. Another aspect of what I'm doing is looking at the male in this process, which is, well, during the slavery process, we have to understand the female was the most important part because she would actually rear children, and the children she would rear would fall right in line with what she had set up. And most of the time it was either she protected that child behind her skirt, or she didn't allow him to become a man in fear of his life, in fear that he would get beat, in fear. So it created a dependency state in our men. And as today, our men are so dependent. They do not engage in a household, running the household, paying all the bills. They've never been trained and taught to do this. And until we understand that and implement programs in our community to help the men to do this, our prison systems are going to continue to fill up with them.
So you believe that really has a lot to do with a lot of incarcerations and et cetera?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have spent a lot of time, especially from the age of 16 to 18, young black African American men, because in public school system, I would do substitute teaching so I could pick what schools I go to. And my whole agenda was to do research on our people and kind of see what's happening with them. And I would usually stay with Pearl Cone, Whites Creek, Hunter's Lane, the predominantly black African American schools. And in the schools, I would ask the children, especially the boys, I said, now if I told you all day in your ear that you were strong, you were powerful, you were intelligent, you was proud, how would you feel? And I could just see his chest swelling up. And he said, I feel good about myself. I said, now, if I told you in your ear all day that you hustled, taught you how to cook crack cocaine, taught you it was big money in crack cocaine, how to get guns, what would you do? He said, I would sell crack cocaine. And I told him, I said, that's why you have to listen to what you're listening to. You have to really listen to the words in this hip hop music. This music is teaching you how to live savage. This music is breeding into our young men a life. And I asked him, I said, you know, have you ever wondered why you can get your hands on crack cocaine and a gun quicker you can a job? Especially in our community now, and they can. we have no basis for, we have nowhere for our young men to go. And they're just out in the streets like zombies, running wild because the community, and I would love to see the black churches involved. I would love to see a lot more community centers involved and really engage in applying education and allowing them to know who they are and putting them back in their proper place in terms of nature. The men have to protect. They weren't allowed to do that during slavery. So after years and years of this, they just stopped. They just didn't give up, gave up on it. And I also wanted to look at the breeding process, because that was an important process. And
people don't like to talk about that. But go on and explain.
They don't like to talk about that. What basically happened was they were put in a room and women were just brought in and they breeded children. And that's exactly what's going on now. We have so many fatherless children in our community, and it's a result of what happened during the times of slavery. This is DNA that has been implanted in the brain, and no one has came and corrected that problem. A male was, he was given special privileges on how many he could produce and how big he was. He was never dealt with at an intelligent level, so now he's dealing off on an animalistic level based on what happened during slavery. America is wide open for us. We have to go get it. But if you've never been taught how to go get it, you can't go get it. Your whole world revolves around your particular neighborhood, the crime that's in your neighborhood, and that's all you see. As African American people, we give our children options about college. Other cultures don't do that. There is no option. You're going to college.
Or else.
Yeah. We strive to go just to get them out of high school. And then that's it. We're done. So that's a big breakdown that we have in our community. And with those two modules, the African American female and the African American male being broken down, then you have a product of a child that's just left in the whim. The children that we have, I see a lot of them in the school, the women, it's identical. The women raise the female children to be independent like them. And then the women raise the male children to be dependent because they're still trying to protect them. They still don't want them to go out there. And the first thing they're going to do is just run out there because they have no format of how to become a man. And it really takes a man to raise a man. Very
good. And of course, Mr. Shakir, we're getting ready for this final commercial break. And I think that's the kind of information that we wanted to hear in reference to how do we deal with these issues and why they are still issues after all of these years.
Yes.
And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.